Mr. Chair, you're all set.
Just gonna say.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners to order. On Thursday, March 12, 2020, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. That order was effective immediately and until it is rescinded, our state of emergency as listed is terminated. On Wednesday, June 16, 2021, by action of the legislature, the order was extended till April 1st, 2022. We are Zoom meeting today as well as live with the commissioners here in Dedham. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Stady.
Present.
Commissioner Collins.
Present.
Commissioner Shea is present. We have a quorum. I'm going to ask everyone to rise that's here and join us in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Number 3 and 4 on the agenda, which are the minutes of an open session meeting of September 8th and September 16th, 15th. 15th, not the 18th. I'm very sorry.
No,
September 8th,
and the 15th.
the 8th and the 15th. I'm not ready, so I'm going to ask for the table till next week.
I motion that we table the minutes.
Second.
Okay.
Motion has been made and seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, public comment. Have you received
No
any
public
comments? No public comment. Number 6, we have an appointment at 1:15. We have the group here with Mark Abrahams from the Abrahams Group. This is a bellwether day for us here at the county. We're going to get our first presentation of phase 2 of our first report. So I see that I'm going to welcome Mark here with his team. I thought you weren't here, Mark. And we're going to go right into it. So this is Mark Abrahams, principal of the Abrahams Group, who had been engaged last year, around November, sometime in October, November, we signed a contract, and we've been getting updates more than quarterly, and it's been a subject of a lot of discussion, but today is, as I say, a bellwether day because we have received the report. We're waiting for 2 more sections, which are going to be in within a couple of weeks, and we hope to distribute it starting this week, and I'm excited, and I hope my fellow commissioners are excited. So today we're going to talk to Mark and his team, and we'll hear from them and take possession of the report. Mark, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Mark Abrahams, President of the Abrahams Group. With me are David King and his son, Matt. We're here to present 2 reports. One is the operational review, and the second is a much shorter report on regional services. My intent is to go through the PowerPoint slides on the operations analysis first, and then second, do the regional services report. For your benefit and for the benefit of those listening, the report has 13 tabs. Each tab represents a section of the report. Tab 1 is the executive summary. Tab 2 is the introduction. And then 3 through 13 are 11 departments presented individually. And they'll all be referenced on the PowerPoint as we go through. So your objective, as you stated, Mr. Chairman, about a year ago, you issued an RFP to solicit proposals to conduct a best practice review consisting of financial management and operations analysis of the county, as well as assisting you with budget forecasting, capital planning, and financial policies. On the very outset, you listed 5 critical issues. a structural revenue and expenditure issue where operating revenues were not covering operating expenditures. Staffing levels may not be sustainable. There were 14 management letter comments that repeated themselves over and over again. There was an issue with the Norfolk Aggie High School and its contribution and balancing its budget. And lastly, a strategic action plan for the county to achieve greater efficiencies and greater effectiveness. In short, you asked us to challenge the status quo. And we have done that in this report. Basically, is there a better way for you to run county government? There are 5 phases to the report: financial forecasting, the best practices review, operation and staffing analysis, capital planning, and regional services. We've been before you several times. We presented several phases of this report previously. On August 11, we presented 3 deliverables: the multi-year financial forecasting, financial policies, and the capital plan and capital budget. Today, we're presenting most of the operations and staffing analysis for 11 of the 13 departments, every department except for the Register of Deeds and the Treasurer's Office. And secondly, today we'll be presenting the final regional services review. In 2 weeks, we'll come back and present the operations and staffing analysis for the Register and for Treasury. In addition, previously, in January 28 of this year, we presented a discussion on the management letter comments, those 14 management letter comments, and the results of the preliminary Infinite Visions review. Infinite Visions is the software that the county uses. It's a Tyler Technology product. Previously, it was called Budget Sense. It was the term Tyler Technology, Infinite Visions, and Budget Sense are all intertwined. We presented the initial benchmarking comparison. We were asked to compare all departments to Norfolk County, to Bristol County, and to Plymouth County. And we presented that benchmarking analysis back then. We also presented a more detailed scope of the Norfolk County Agricultural High School review. We also presented DESI's Edwin analysis for administration and other regional school districts. We presented the job analysis questionnaire that we used part of the operational review. We presented a listing of regional services that Norfolk County provided to its member communities, and our approach to capital planning and to the financial forecast. On June 23, we presented the first phase of the regional services report. Today, we'll present phase 2 in the final report. The capital budget and the capital plan was presented to the Finance Committee, to the Advisory Board, and to the county commissioners at various intervals, March, April, and June of this year. The financial policies document was presented to the Finance Committee on July 27, and the financial policies, the capital plan and budget, and the financial forecast deliverables were presented to you last month. And we did provided periodic updates to the county director throughout the course of the project. The operational review report, this document, has 13 sections that is outlined in the page on the screen. Part 1 is the executive summary. So I want to highlight a couple of things in the executive summary and in the second section, introduction. I think there are a lot of firsts for this study. The first set of financial policies, the first multi-year capital plan, the first integrated capital budget, the first financial forecast tool, the first comprehensive review of operations of the county, the first set of organization tables of organization for each department and for Norfolk County. I think this is the first. And the first set of a comprehensive set of findings and recommendations for the operational review. We believe this is important work, that these deliverables enhance Norfolk County in the eyes of stakeholders for financial relevancy, stability, and respect. Bond agencies and other stakeholders look to a government's ability to forecast revenues and expenditures, to plan and track capital investments, and among other factors, to be governed by a set of financial policies. These are all results of the deliverables we presented last month. And now these tools are in place for the county to better operate its operations. We've developed a number of recommendations to improve the efficiency or effectiveness of county operations. And there are 146 pages in this report. So I want to highlight some of the more important, relevant recommendations. Management letter comments. There are 14 management letter comments, many of which have been repeated over the years. These are mainly addressed in the human resources, purchasing, and treasury sections of the report. The county should see a reduction in management letter comments starting with the fiscal 22 audit. Let me repeat, the 22 audit. We just started fiscal 22. Fiscal 21 was completed last June 30. The audit for fiscal 20 is being completed as we speak, and the auditors will move into fiscal 21. So to the extent recommendations are implemented from this report, they will be effective for fiscal 22. One of our major observations is manual processing. The amount of manual processing throughout county operations. And this is a reflection of the underutilization of the Infinite Vision software. We have done many operational reviews, and I must say, what we've observed here is the most manual processing that at least I've ever seen. It was really overwhelming. That ties to the underutilization of the Infinite Vision software. The software was purchased over 20 years ago, and those that were here 20 years ago received the initial training, but training of new people were mostly on-the-job training and not a comprehensive training. We conducted an analysis of the IV software with Infinite Visions, identified many opportunities for improvement. Infinite Visions provided training on the use of the software, and we've come up with a number of recommendations that hopefully, when implemented, can address the underutilization of the software. And I must say, many of the recommendations that we've developed have been implemented as this process has progressed. The county is investing further in Infinite Visions, onboard, Infinite Vision SaaS, Title Content Manager, and the client portal, many of which will be discussed in subsequent sections, are being invested in by the county. Number 4, what I'm calling the first of two major transformations. The first is the budget. Currently, your budget is an Excel-based, what we call incremental budget. We really look at what you spent last year and try to decide what you're going to spend in the forthcoming budget year. We recommended many suggestions to transfer the budget from this line item incremental approach to an annually updated policy document that includes A, the development of countywide goals, the development of departmental goals, budget narratives, performance measurements, performance management, and lastly, the attainment of the Government Finance Officers Association and the Association of School Business Officials best practices in budgeting and to achieve their gold star in those areas. The second major transformation is the human resources function. It is intensely manual, recognizing the underutilization of the infinite vision system. It is a one-person shop. Because it is so manual, there are processing problems. And we've developed a number of recommendations to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of this critical function. And this is one of the areas where a number of the recommendations have already been implemented. But our recommendations essentially transform human resources from an intense manual processing, and I'll call it nightmare, to a fully automated state-of-the-art system. And those of you that are listening today that are staff and have requested leave data or requested leaves know how manual that process is. And the more manual, the more people touch it, the more prone to error. And let's really look at it and change this to a more state-of-the-art automated system. Number 6, the structural deficit. A, where operating revenues are not covering operating expenditures. B, the Aggie, where increasing debt service is not being met with corresponding increases in school revenues. And the county is left to cover the needed shortfall. Our report identifies several potential changes to the Aggie financing, as well as the county and Aggie maintenance and facilities that can address that shortfall. So as we exit the executive summary, it's clear to us in our previous deliverables that our recommendations have not just sat on a shelf, but have in part been implemented. And we hope the recommendations contained in this report will be implemented in the near future. And I'm specifically referring to the policy documents, the capital plan, the capital budget, and the financial forecasts. So I want to focus a little more on those 5 key issues that the commissioners identified at the outset of this project. First, the structural revenue and expenditure issues. If you look at this chart, you'll see that the county has used prior year balances in 4 fiscal years, 18, 19, 20, and 21, that have ranged anywhere from $578,000 to $750,000. Gradually, the county needs to wean itself off of reliance on reserves and have a balanced revenue and expenditure operating budget. We can do that through increased revenues, decreasing in expenditures of both, and our report addresses those areas. Question of staffing, and can the county sustain the levels of staffing? This chart shows the staffing levels by position and full-time equivalents going back to 2018, and it's a 5-year look. Staffing levels have decreased overall by 17 positions, or 8.6. You'll see it on the far right column. 8.6 FTEs. That's a 5-year trend. And only the Aggie has an increase in FTEs while a decrease in positions, and the commissioner's office an increase of 1 person in that 5-year period. All other departments, with the exception of Wollaston, have had a staff reduction since 2018. So it's not a question of the county increasing staff. It's a question of maintaining and maximizing the production of the existing staff. The management letter comments. This chart summarizes the 14 management letter comments. And you'll see fiscal year 16, 17, 18, and 19. And you'll see in fiscal 16, the 14 going from 1 to 14. And then going left to right, you'll see some of these were resolved, and that's an R. And then you'll see some of them that are repeated. And overall, 43 of these comments have been repeated from 16 to 19. And again, we're awaiting the 20 audit. We will address this further in our October 6th presentation. The Norfolk Aggie contribution, two major issues here. One, as their plant ages, they are incurring more and more debt service without what we're seeing, without a corresponding increase in corresponding revenues. And over the last 6 years, the gap between the tuition revenues to fund the appropriation has grown by 5%. So expenditures have gone up by 19% over that 5-year period, but the tuitions as a percent of funding the appropriations have declined by 5%. One of the first things we started with was speaking with staff relative to their operational issues. And this page shows you some of the questions that we were hit with initially. Mostly, can we better utilize the automated system? And our report, particularly in purchasing, HR, budget, and payroll, addresses many of these challenges. And finally, the strategic action plan. You were looking for some guidance as to how to proceed. So our deliverables and recommendations provide a plan to strategically address these 5 issues. You now have financial tools to better manage government county finances. You have a number of recommendations to better utilize the Infinite Vision software. And you have a number to address the management letter comments. So together, these deliverables and recommendations should provide you with that strategy to make the county more operationally efficient and effective. So as we move into the departmental operation reviews, we have 11 departments, and generally for these 11 departments, each department is going to have its table of organization, the benchmark, where those benchmarks existed to Bristol County and Plymouth County, a set of findings, and a set of recommendations. And this is a picture of the organization of county government, where we have 3 elected bodies, the treasurer on the left, the register of deeds on the right, and the county commissioners in the middle. The agricultural high school is administered by a board of trustees, and the county commissioners oversee the county director, which oversees the assistant county director, budgeting, HR, purchasing, RSVP, veterans, as well as Wollaston data processing, maintenance, and engineering. So we're going to move into each department. In Wollaston, golf facility basically needs around 33,000 to 34,000 rounds of golf to break even. The rates that they set are set to remain competitive in the marketplace based on rates established by neighboring communities. We're suggesting that a strategic business plan be considered for Wollaston going forward so they can, A, strategically look at raising revenues to support both operations and their capital needs. We're also considering to have Wollaston accounted for as a special revenue fund. It's not clear if county government can adopt statutes that are for municipalities to recognize what I call a business type activity as a special revenue fund and get it out of the general fund. By doing so, it's easier to track the revenues and expenditures as well as its assets, liabilities, and equity. It's also recommended that Wollaston purchases the cloud-based software that allows them to administer tea times in a more effective way. Functionally, they're sound. Their staffing is reasonable compared to Braintree and Hingham. Braintree and Hingham are municipal golf facilities because there aren't any other county golf facilities to benchmark. Their operating costs are low in comparison to those facilities. Here's their organization chart. And you'll see they have a vacant assistant superintendent. Again, we think this is the first comprehensive set of organization tables of the county. For benchmarking, this is an example. What you see on the screen are the various codes, 7 different classifications of expenditures. We had to transpose the municipal expenditures to the county structure to present this, and you'll see Wollaston is low in comparison to the other 2 benchmarking entities. This chart presents their revenues, expenditures, and surpluses, and you'll see the last 6 years, 2 years where their net surplus was a shortfall, 19 and 20, 64,000 and 224,000, primarily due to COVID, where revenues were short, people didn't come out, and expenditures were high because they had to do a lot of sanitation that other years didn't. There was a pent-up demand in 21 where they had a rocket year in revenues and had a corresponding surplus in 21. But basically, on average, they need around 34,000 rounds of golf to break even. County Director. Table of organization that includes Wollaston Facilities, Assistant County Director, Engineering, Administration and Budget, Purchasing, Data Processing, RSVP, Human Services, and Veteran Services. Benchmarking, County Director's Office outspends Bristol County and Plymouth County substantially. But Norfolk County provides other services that Bristol and Plymouth County do not. These include information technology or data processing, veteran services, RSVP, and other programs that are not provided by Bristol and Plymouth County. And subsequent to this benchmarking, the veteran service delivery model was changed, eliminating county funding and county costs to provide that service. Most of the findings and recommendations for the county director are included in other sections. So we're just focusing here basically on shifting some responsibilities within the director's office to free up the management of budget and administration and budgets to allow him to work on capital budgeting, financial forecasting, and other budget functions previously not worked on. Speaking of which, we move into budgeting. We have 13 findings in budgeting with recommendations on the operating budget, capital budget, and financial forecast. Again, the budget is an Excel-based incremental document with no narratives, no goals, or other information, and it's a one-person shop. The Infinite Vision budget module is underutilized. It's basically Excel-based, and then that data off of Excel is loaded into the budget module. There was one management letter comment relating to this, which was purchase order liquidation. But basically, operating revenues are not covering operating expenditures and a complete lack of performance information. Here are the 13 recommendations. I'm not going to go through all of them. We'll be here all day, some of which I've already commented on. But look at number 7. Enhance the budget document consistent with GFOA and ASBO guidelines. Appended to section 5, you'll see a 7-page document for the GFOA criteria and an 11-page document for the ASBO criteria. You asked for best practices. These are the best practices. We analyzed the GFOA criteria and came up with 3 sets of categorization in terms of whether the county has met those criteria, in terms of if the county needs to enhance what they have, or if they have to develop it from scratch. And we've also commented on strengthening the capital improvement planning and budget process. So we have given you a tool for capital, and we have come up with recommendations to strengthen that process now that you have a tool for capital planning and capital budgeting. Our recommendations are to improve the organization of the budget by going through the 27 criteria of the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award presentations and the 34 criteria of the ASBO's Meritorious Budget Award program. Essentially, we're looking to transform this Excel-based incremental budget to an annually updated policy document that includes several of the things I talked about: countywide and department goals, narratives, performance measures, and the adoption of these criteria to make that budget a far more informed document. Human resources, one-person shop. 14 findings. Many of these are manual processing. And because it's a manual process, several inconsistencies have developed along the way. To the county's credit, the requirement of having a query check, a pre-employment physical, and drug testing agreement form appended to the blue sheet is now been implemented. Prior to that, that was pretty lax. Inconsistent files. Not all files contain all the documents, and that has been worked on as well. The employee handbook is being updated as well. Position descriptions, many of which are old and need updating, and some of which don't exist, those are being worked on as well. Sick vacation carryover data, one of the management letter comments. All sick, vacation, and carryover data has now been entered with the exception of the agricultural high school. And once the agricultural high school data is entered into Infinite Visions, that management letter comment will go away. The second part of that is for county employees to access their data. And that's where the self-portal comes in, one of the enhancements to the Infinite Vision system, and one of our strong recommendations to get that implemented as soon as possible. Then all county employees will have automated access to their sick, vacation, and carryover data. 10, 11, and 12, and 13 are basically manual processes that can be automated. So our report at the end of the sixth section presents a vision of how the human resources function can transform to a fully automated system and move from a heavy manual process to the state-of-the-art best practices human resource function. You'll see narratives on onboarding. So when a person applies for a position, not even hired, just applies, all of that becomes automated. The ability to have the self-access portal to access leave data and a narrative on EPARS, automating what is now the blue sheet into an employee personal action reporting form. So the county has purchased the portal, has not implemented the portal, and we believe this is very important and should be a priority for the county. The county should work with Infinite Visions to get that up and running. This vision presents a different environment than today's manual processing. These changes will require time, will require training, and will require documentation, not just for HR, but for the recommendations in purchasing, budgeting, and payroll as well. But in the end, an automated human resource function and more enhanced use of Infinite Visions in other areas will minimize errors, maximize control, and maximize data accessibility. So those are the two major areas of transformation. Purchasing, again, is part of the county administrator, as his chief procurement officer and an administrative assistant. In Plymouth County and Bristol counties, the county director is the CPO. 7 findings in purchasing. Purchasing is more automated than we saw in HR and in budgeting, primarily because of the use of the requisitioning and purchase order processes within Infinite Visions. But a number of these items here can be further automated or further take advantage of the Infinite Visions system. And again, we're recommending that the purchasing procedures be documented around the Infinite Vision system. It's functionally sound, 1 CPO and 1 part-time staff, reporting relationships are clear, and given the number of staff, department functions pretty well. Similar to HR, purchasing function is limited staff, limited documentation, and we're recommending to develop procedures and related forms around the IV system. We're also recommending an additional staff be added. We have in purchasing the requisition and purchase order approval process, and the same people handle the payment process, the approval of the receiving documents before it's shipped over to Treasury to be paid. And we're suggesting that this is an internal control issue and another person would prevent that from happening. The RSVP program. No other county has a similar program. RSVP provides elementary school tutoring, friendly visits, Meals on Wheels, veteran programs, and tutoring. They're one of the few departments that report, in terms of outputs, the results of their particular fiscal year. And you'll see here a number of statistics of the various program results. And some of them have approval rates as well. This is what we're meaning by performance type information. Functionally sound, clear reporting relationships. RSVP is part of the county's regional services program, which has received favorable reviews, is commented on in our regional services report. Veteran services. And you'll note here, A, the town of Avon, where the Veteran Services Advocate reports to both the county director and has a memorandum of understanding with the town of Avon. And this has changed from a county employee to a basically personal service contract. And Bristol and Plymouth County do not provide similar service. The county commissioners entered into a new agreement with the town of Avon. The advocate will work 20 hours a month for the town of Avon and be available to assist other communities with veteran services as needs arise. As I said, this service delivery is now under a personal services contract. And this type of delivery is one of several, is now being considered for the regional services program and is being explored by the county to apply that model for other services. And again, referring to the regional service report for that. Information technology. I'll turn this over to Dave. You can speak from there.
Okay.
Just press that right button. Move it forward.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I didn't speak of last.
Dave, you may need more microphone coverage. So if you want to approach a little bit, maybe
We can slide over too.
Okay.
Want to do that?
Let's bring up one of these chairs.
Yeah, just bring a chair up and you're just saying that way your voice will get picked up by the mic, that's all. That's fair enough?
Fair enough.
Mark and I have been working together.
Sorry, Ed,
about
I
15
hit mute. I
years.
hit mute by an
Often
by
what we're doing is looking at a school department, the municipal government, and determining whether there are efficiencies in merging the operations of the school district with the operations of the town. That's often the information technology departments. So that is one of the things we're looking at here. You actually have three information technology departments, one at the agricultural high school, one for the county, and one for the Register of Deeds. So we looked at that. You see a little dotted line there just to explain what that is. Most school departments have a division that's pure technology and has nothing to do with instruction. And then they have a division that is instructional. At the Aggie, that's one teacher who's an information technology specialist. And when that program works well, the educational people work hand in hand with the technology people. And that is happening at the Aggie. And in interviewing all these people, we thought they had a really good relationship. We found that.
Well, you also have the county structure with the data processing IT director and information technology at the Register of Deeds. So there's three different organizational breakdowns of IT within the county.
So in the high school, who's the person that, if we go back, who handles like the day-to-day problems when teachers have a computer down, which happens all the time, or something's wrong with their, system? Who would the person, who's the one that gets the call there? Is it Rebecca or Patricia? I'm guessing
It could be
Rebecca.
any of the three.
Or any of the three?
If Rebecca's there and available,
Mhm,
because she's on site in the academic wing of the school,
mhm.
it would be her.
But formally, it's Mark's responsibility, and he could assign Patricia if she were available, or it could be Rebecca, and I think often it's Rebecca because she's there.
Mhm.
I think,
Are all three of those people full-time, as far as
yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
The schools, public schools in Massachusetts have a extensive requirement of reporting to the state, both for student records and MCAS, which hit the news this morning, and employment records. It all has to be in a database system that works interchangeably, seamlessly with the state system. And that's Patricia's main job. That's a new position in almost every school district over the last 10 years. So most of her time, she is working on that database at her desk. But she is an experienced technical person, and she will go out when needed and be another set of hands for fixing somebody's problem.
Do you know what type of system they're using at the Aggie school? In terms of what the teachers use for communicating with parents and also grade books, things like that?
They're using Google for Education.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other is called iPass, which has some connection. They are looking into, iPass is a pretty old system. It's a student information system.
Mhm.
And it's where you would get your report card information
Right.
online,
Things
for
like that.
instance. They're looking to replace that. iPass is an older system. There are a lot of more up-to-date systems out there, and they're looking into that.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. There it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
You knew what was coming.
Houdini.
So the Aggie, we use NCAHS because we're supposed to be formal, but everybody, as you know, calls it the Aggie. So I'll call it the Aggie during our meeting.
Sure.
They have a Google for Education platform. It's in the cloud. It's designed to educate 550 students. It also provides their email system, and it can supply their Office instead of Microsoft Office, although people still, although wary of using that. Some people do, some people don't. The county and the registry IT departments use standard Microsoft-based platforms with Office, with the various server tools that Microsoft provides for email and communication and that type of thing. The main other software that the county operates is Infinite Visions that Mark has just been talking about extensively. And the registry operates their big database and imaging software, Brown Tech, that brings in all the deeds and plans and mortgages into the registry system. Again, as I started off, we're looking into the possibility of consolidating these departments. No one that we interviewed felt that the Aggie's IT department could be consolidated with the county. This is primarily because of their educational goals and their Google in the cloud operating system versus the Microsoft typical business system that the county and the registry use. On the other hand, almost all that we talked to believe that the county and the registry IT departments could be consolidated into one department. And that leads to our recommendation. And there were two concerns that almost everybody had. Everybody worries about security these days. It's something up until recently. The IT people worried about it, but the administrators kind of didn't think about cybersecurity that much until we started hearing all these horror shows about hacking. And the other thing is a lot of that hacking takes place because equipment isn't being upgraded. So those two things are things that I would like to emphasize and that the staff emphasized as we talked about. So our recommendations for the ID department is to not consider merging the Aggie IT. Whoops, yeah. There we go. Merging the Aggie IT operation with the county operation. We are recommending the county and registry IT departments should be consolidated into one department under the direction of the commissioners. The ID department should should carefully manage their capital plans, and as far as I can see, they are. It's just that it's very important, and that the county should fund those plans as well as they're able. The county should have an outside IT security audit. I think that's a very important thing. I think it's something you're considering, and I wanted to add our recommendation to your doing that. And the IT staff should continually seek training opportunities, as I think we all know, particularly at their level, technology changes rapidly all the time. This isn't a problem. They are doing it. I just want to emphasize that that's a best practice, and they should continue to do it. Maintenance and facilities. This is the table of organization for the county maintenance department headed by John McGowan. There's an assistant supervisor and a supervisor who supervises all the day-to-day work stuff. There's a group of tradesmen. There's a group of rowers, and there's a group of custodians. This is the maintenance and facilities department at the Aggie. There was also another group that we'll look at later in my Aggie report, and I'll explain about them. This group comes under the business manager, Richard Fitzpatrick. There is a director of facilities, and under the director of facilities is a maintenance staff of 5 employees, and there's a custodial staff of 7. 4 of those 7 positions are vacant right now. 3 of them are filled with temps, and 1 is temporarily being kept vacant. Oh, and the other piece that you don't see here that you will see later is there is a farm staff. So there is a farm manager who comes under the superintendent and the principal. And the farm manager has 3 workers working for her, called farm 4-persons. And again, we'll talk to this later, but the grounds maintenance person and the mechanic also work with the students in the mechanical vocational program and in the grounds horticultural program. And this is something that we're asking. As you've noticed, we're not getting into the academic side of the Aggie, but we think they should investigate and codify the extent that these maintenance people work with the students, as opposed to just being straight maintenance people, because it appears as if they both.
What do you mean by that, working with students? Excuse me. What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean, in terms of caring the animal, taking care of the livestock?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
the farm people work with the kids, they're taking
Right.
care of when the kids are working with the livestock, the farm workers are there.
Right, I understand that part. But you're saying the custodians do that too?
No, the
So it's-
mechanic and the groundskeeper,
Oh, okay.
because there's a farm mechanical engineering department.
Yep.
And there is a horticultural department.
Yep.
And the groundskeeper works with the students in the horticultural department, and the mechanic works with the students in the mechanical department.
Okay. Thank you.
But it's not formalized in their organization, and as you will see, it affects the fact that they have such an expensive looking maintenance department. This is our benchmarking for the county maintenance department. As you can see, the benchmarking is with Bristol and Plymouth. They are expending more than the other 2. And we also broke that down by the square footage of the buildings in the three counties. In Norfolk, they're spending about $18 a square foot when you average it out. As opposed to Bristol, who's spending about $8 a square foot, and Plymouth is spending about $13 a square foot.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's a real lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Can you go back to that for a second?
Sure.
Please. Is it personal services in terms of, what's that?
People.
People,
Employees.
in terms of employees?
Yeah.
So you're saying we're pretty heavy now compared to the other counties?
Yes, you are. And I'll show that later.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, because Bristol and Plymouth are pretty much dead on, and we're more than double in
Yeah,
personal
well,
services.
doubles. Interesting.
Like 2.5.
Yeah.
Almost three times in personal services.
All right.
This is the same benchmarking for the Aggie. I don't expect you to be able to read that, but there are 4 or 5 of these reports in your binder in the appendix on various breakdowns of the expenditures of the Aggie. This is from a system that DESI has called Edwin, where you can pull out financial figures that have been reported to the state and report them by school district. So we originally intended to benchmark the Aggie against the other 3 agricultural schools in the state, Bristol, Essex North Shore, which used to be Essex County Aggie, but has been merged with North Shore both. And then Smith, the Smith Vocational School in Northampton. So those 4 schools, you and those 3, have agricultural programs. As we started talking to people at the Aggie and other places, the names of some of the regional vocational schools in the county also came up. So we added in for the comparison all of the regional vocational schools that serve the communities in Norfolk County. And they're Minuteman, Norfolk, Minuteman, South Shore, Southeastern, Tri-County, Blackstone, Blue Hills, those 6. And the main thing we look at in these reports is per pupil costs. The per pupil cost for, you don't have a laser on here, do you? No.
It's the second column on the right.
Second column from the right. Norfolk Aggie is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down, 5th from the bottom. The per pupil cost is $3,859 per student. The second highest of the 8 schools is Minuteman, which is $2,955. So it's $900 less per pupil at Minuteman. And Minuteman, I can assure you, is a very expensive school.
Because you live there.
We've done work with them, and they were the bane of my existence when I was the business manager in Waltham, because we had to send kids there, whether we wanted to or not, and pay their tuitions. So to break this down a little bit, the Aggie has, in the maintenance departments, they have 3 supervisors, including a farm manager, 7 custodians, 3 farm workers, and 4 maintenance persons. The county has 3 supervisors, 22 custodians, 3 maintenance, and 5 rovers. And as you see, one of the things we looked at in terms of consolidation was, could we reduce the number of supervisors? One of the things we do is we look at how many square feet a custodian can clean in a day. We use a study for schools. We found a study for commercial buildings that we're using to apply to the courthouses. So when we run those statistics, and it's in detail in the report, the Aggie has just about the right number of custodians they should have, which is 7. And they're actually getting by with 6 at the moment because of a vacancy. The county custodians, on the other hand, and that number is around 28,000 square feet per employee. The county custodians cover significantly less square footage, around 8,000 square feet, than Bristol, Plymouth, or industry standards. So that's one of the main things we're looking at in terms of the custodial staff.
Did you also, though, I mean, it'd be a question. That might be what's budgeted or what's planned, but at the present time, maintenance is short about 3 or 4 people
Yeah,
that are vacant.
They do have,
So you might say there's 22, we're really operating maybe at 17,
right.
right? So that would make the figure different in
Yeah,
terms of your
it would.
coverage, right? To be fair?
Mhm.
Okay.
Dave, could you repeat what you said about square footage, please?
Sure. The standard for square footage for a school,
Yeah,
the normal square footage is 30,000, 28 to 32,000. They give you a range.
Mhm.
And
Per custodian.
per custodian. So we take the number of custodians and the number of square feet and divide it and see what.
that's industry standard, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the industry standard for schools. Below 28,000, there's another category, which is more specific. It's for restrooms and things where you have to be even cleaner. And then there's a standard behind there that goes to like 10,000 square feet, which they just say is from something like hospitals. We came up with a study from a building maintenance organization and applied, and it comes out the same type of range. Their bottom line, the lowest level they have is 12,000 a square foot. With the full, again, as you said, there's vacancies, but just doing the math, and that's what we did, is just do the math. The county maintenance department is cleaning about 8,000 square foot.
So, I mean, hear me right. The school standard is one person could cover about 30,000,
Right,
roughly, according to industry standard.
right.
And then what you're saying, according to the study that you are driving from, it should be for municipal side or our side, 1 per 12, and we're at 1 per
The
8.
minimum, the highest level.
The highest level.
Yeah.
Would be 1 per 12, we're at 1 per 8,
12 to 15.
12 to 15.
And the standard level is 15 to 30, 15 to 20.
Because again, I'm gonna be devil's advocate. I know last year we had the pandemic. They were called upon to do a lot of cleaning that didn't have to do before and
Yeah,
extra cleaning.
that's
things
something
like
that's
that.
been
Yeah.
back in my mind right
Yeah,
away, that
yeah.
all of these statistics
Yeah,
aren't based on COVID cleaning.
sure.
John asked me to come up with a standard description of what cleaning is,
Mhm.
and almost everything I found was special instructions that have been sent out in the last year on how to clean for COVID.
Mhm, mhm.
Hopefully, we don't have to do that forever, but
Yeah,
maybe we're going
All right. That's good though.
to. Okay.
Thank you. Yep, appreciate it.
We observed that, I didn't want to use a brand name, but the software that most school districts use is called School Dude, which is job scheduling, job ticket software. The Aggie has it, uses it. The county does not have that type of software to track what their men are doing, what their employees are doing. And
Can I briefly interrupt you? I apologize. That item you approved 2 weeks ago for consideration in the supplemental budget for asset management and workflow ordering. So the so-called School Dude is a brand name, but it's a product that we will be putting out to bid once the advisory board votes finally on it next week. Thank you.
And as I alluded to before, there are 6 maintenance employees who work with the students as part of the vocational program. The 4 farm workers who work with the students on the animals and haying and some of the other agricultural tasks. The mechanic works with the students in the mechanical department, mechanical vocational department. And the groundskeeper works with the students in the horticultural science department. And
It's almost like quasi instruction.
yes, and
Kind of
that's what I'm
version of-
asking them to do.
Yeah,
Other districts, Bristol does it to some extent. I
They do.
think Smith does it to some extent. They count part or all of the time of these people as in the DESI chart of accounts. It's called other instructional. It's where special ed paraprofessionals go, but
Mhm.
there are other things. Non-teaching employees who are working with the students can go there. And we're recommending that the superintendent, the principal, codify these jobs
Mhm.
and determine whether part or all of their salaries should be under instructional. Because having them all in maintenance is driving up the tremendous cost of the maintenance department. And I think part of it is just because the expenses are in the wrong box on the end of the year report.
Is there a financial advantage in reassigning them in a different category in terms of funding?
Unfortunately,
Grants or things
no.
like that? Oh, it's not.
I
Okay.
mean, it might,
So,
I don't know, maybe in a grant you could show it and it would make
mhm,
it look better, but in terms of Chapter 70 funding, it certainly
Okay.
does.
okay. All right.
So we are recommending, I'll get this down eventually. There we go. We're recommending that you consolidate the Aggies facilities department with the county's maintenance department. Part of this, we believe, is because there were too many supervisors, and this would be a way to reduce the supervisors. The model that we have in detail in the book would have one, the head supervisor here for the maintenance department and the other one on campus as the assistant. We've recommended going to contract cleaning at the Aggie. It's something we've seen in a lot of school districts. It can work. We believe a hybrid system is the best. By a hybrid system, we mean that the contractor isn't off on their own. The actual maintenance staff of the school is supervising the contract cleaners. If you were to go with contract cleaning, you would eliminate 7 custodian positions. And as I said, at the moment, 4 of those are vacant, so this may be the time to do it. As I just mentioned, I've asked the superintendent and the principal to codify the academic role of the 6 vocational support maintenance staff. And we're recommending implementing job scheduling software for the consolidated department. Apparently, you're purchasing that, so like all software, once you've got it, you have to use it. And this is how those recommendations break down. Eliminating the 7 custodians with benefits would save about $461,000. It would cost about $264,000 for the custodian, for the contract cleaning, which would be a savings of $197,000. We believe that by having the county electrician do some of the electrical work at the Aggie, you could save $10,000. At the moment, they have a contract electrician who is very familiar with all of the specialized antique buildings at the Aggie, and I think we need to keep using him for now. But gradually, the county electrician would take over. And in the short term, some of the minor jobs, like changing a light, not changing a light bulb, but changing a light fixture or an electrical outlet, could be done by the county electrician rather than bringing in an outside contractor. Same with the plumber. We believe the county plumber could save $5,000. I believe if you brought the county custodians up to covering about 15,000 square feet instead of 8, you would save $180,000. And as you mentioned, there may be vacancies there. By not filling them, you would come up with that saving. We recommended replacing the mechanic with a contractor, and we got into detail on how that would be done in the report. We recommended replacing the grounds maintenance person with a contractor, and again, we go into detail in the report as to how you would do that. Long-term, the director of facilities at the Aggie and the superintendent of buildings at the county would be merged into one position. Also in the future, the building maintenance supervisor for the county and then building maintenance supervisor for the Aggie and the county facilities manager would be merged into one position, which I've recommended being based at the Aggie. So estimated long-term savings is an additional 195,000, a total estimated savings of 637,000.
And these savings don't happen overnight. They come over time through attrition.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back, and then Dave will be back for the last one. Engineering, you'll see the organization chart. There are 3 vacancies on here: Assistant County Land Surveyor and the 2 land survey crew chiefs. A lot of statutory requirements for engineering to perform. You see that laid out here. Overall, of all the responses on the regional services section of our report, engineering had the most use and the highest satisfaction rating from the 28 member communities. We'll get into that after this presentation. We think engineering is going to need additional staff to support you as county commissioners and to provide support for the county's regional efforts to the 28 communities. And the county director has already discussed staffing needs with the newly appointed county land surveyor. The department's future needs are dependent on the needs of the county and what comes out of the regional services. The results of the regional service effort shows the potential need to add additional engineering resources, and again referred to the regional services report. Go back. This is our last section of the operationals review.
And here you will see the organization, the non-academic organization of the Aggie under the Board of Trustees, the Superintendent Director, the Executive Assistant serves both the Board of Trustees and the Director. Rick Fitzgerald is the Business Manager. Under him is the Business Office staff. Fitzpatrick. I've been calling him Fitzgerald for a year now.
He's right behind you.
Yeah, I know. I saw. Eventually I'll get to the food service director, the cafeteria staff, the technology department and their staff. The farm working staff that I mentioned comes under the superintendent director, John Martin, and works hand in hand with the vocational assistant principal at the Aggie on the academic side. And then the director of facilities, as we've already talked about, also comes under Rick Fitzpatrick. And he supervises the maintenance staff we talked about and the custodial staff we talked about. Benchmarking of the school, the entire school, against Bristol County, and we note that Bristol County spends more than Norfolk County Agricultural spends more than Bristol County Agricultural. They do have about the same student enrollment, so that difference is significant. Plymouth County doesn't have an agricultural high school. As we mentioned earlier, we have compared these extensively using DESI reporting systems, Radar, which we went through page by page in your book, DOT, which is the district comparisons throughout the state, and Edward Analytics, which is a tool where I can pull various things together to give you reports, and those are all in your book there. But our findings in the radar cost analysis, we found that, there we go. In our radar cost analysis, we found that the Aggie is middle to high compared to their peers for administrative staff and benefit costs. Benefit costs, they get the benefits that the county employees get. And the county has acknowledged that you have a superior benefit program for health benefits, and that adds to the cost. Administrative staff, we think they should look at it. It's not terribly high, but it is high in places, and the new superintendent should definitely look at that. Do you want to talk about Chapter 70 at all?
So Chapter 70 is the main funding source from the state for elementary and secondary education. For the past several years, the agricultural school has received what is called minimum aid, literally $8,000 to $9,000 increase every year. So Chapter 70 is not going to be the cavalry to come in and solve some budgetary issues here. The positive news is that the Student Opportunities Act, which was passed 2 or 3 years ago, to focus more Chapter 70 funding in the areas of certain types of students. And the agricultural school has a lot that fit into that category. English learners, students with disabilities. And because of that, we worked with DESE to try to get them to give us Chapter 70 projections going forward for the next 3 to 4 years. They would not do that, but they did share with us their projections on foundation budgets. And the more foundation budgets you have in terms of dollars translates generally into more Chapter 78. Because of the makeup of the agricultural students, there will be more Chapter 70 aid coming in future years beyond the minimum aid. And we've documented that in our report. But I must stress, these are projections based on foundation budgets, and I wouldn't bet our mortgage on that. But clearly, you will get more Chapter 78 than minimum aid, and we laid out the projections over the next 3 to 4 years. And that's when the Student Opportunities Act ends. Back to you.
This next point may be one of the most important things in the report on the Aggie, and that's addressing their structural budget deficit. The debt service is increasing without corresponding increases in revenues. We've got in detail in the report, we've gone through how expenditures are going up and how revenues aren't going up with them. But one of the telling statistics is that over the last 6 years, as revenues have increased and the appropriations from the appropriate budgets have increased, the gap between those two has grown by 5%. So 5% isn't much, but it's going in the wrong direction. We hope it's going down by 5%.
5% is a small percentage, but dollar-wise, it has an impact.
And we believe one of the major contributing, or the major contributing problem there is tuitions. So we did a deep dive into the tuition calculations, and I'll get into that in the recommendations. Other than that, Walpole Public Schools and the Aggie had talked about having Walpole provide the food service at the Aggie. So we looked at that and we did a study of the Aggie food service and made a recommendation on it. Part of that is that we observed in the study that labor costs are extremely high, partially because it's such a small school, without a supporting school department to provide the backbone of a food service department. But their food service costs are 50%, their labor costs for the food service department are 50% higher than you would expect in a normal food service operation. They, at the time we came into this, they were going out to bid for a school bus contract. I have extensive experience, more than I want, in reviewing school bus contracts every 3 years in Waltham, and making sure that the contract was written so that we would get the best chance. So I was asked to help them with their new school bus contract and specifications. And I did that, and that is outlined in the documents. We're recommending that the chart of accounts, the chart of accounts, the financial reports, and the EPIMS report, which is the personnel report that the Aggie submits to the state, should be carefully aligned with DESI standards. We've seen some areas where they didn't line up, and it's common for any school district for these things to happen. But I think it's important that they look at it. DESI came out with a report this year that is a crosswalk between the financial reports and the personnel reports to help overcome some of these problems. And I know Rick has used that tool since it came out back in March or April. Studying of tuitions, the out-of-district tuitions, which is where most of the revenue comes from, should be set at per pupil cost. The board hasn't always set it at per pupil cost. At times they have set it at less than per pupil cost. And I think it should be a standard that they set it at per pupil cost. The problematic tuition rate is the in-district tuition. The communities in Norfolk County pay next to nothing, roughly $2,000 a year for a $26,000 program. We believe that the formula that's being used is incorrect. That's partially because of DESI's advice. The three of us and others have a meeting with two of the higher-ups in the finance department of DESI on Friday, and we hope to get some input from them that will provide positive results for you on your revenue. We're recommending the food service department should keep a couple of statistical rates that we couldn't find. The participation rate was an estimate rather than an actual document. And MPLH, which is meals per labor hour, they don't keep. As I noted, they have a problem with the amount of labor they have for the amount of meals they're serving. But the main thing on food service is whether they should outsource. We don't think the program is financially sustainable without outsourcing. The offer that they've had is to talk to Walpole, but what we often look at with other school districts is going to a private food service concern. A private food service concern probably wouldn't be interested in the Aggie, it's too small. But Chartwell's, one of the bigger food service companies, is the food service provider in Norwood. And for that reason, they may be interested in adding the Aggie to their Norwood portfolio. And finally, transportation contract and the bid specification, which we thought were pretty good, need to be reviewed every 3 years, assuming you have a 3-year contract, because things change, emphasis change, and it's just an important best practice.
So that concludes our presentation on the operations review. We want to thank you for allowing us to partner with you to try to make county operations more efficient and more effective. I'd like to thank publicly the staff for cooperating with us. We did a lot of interviews, a lot of talks, a lot of reviews of different drafts, and hopefully our recommendations can continue to improve county operations. So with that,
I have to tell you, gentlemen,
Good job. Good job.
well done.
Now,
A quick question to Mr. Abrahams. Mark, the regional services piece, is
yes,
that to follow?
yes, it is. It's a very brief 8-page report, much fewer slides. You want to take a few minute break?
well, that's going to be in the final, right? We're going to do it either way today,
Yes.
but it's still going to be incorporated into. Why don't we do it now? I don't.
Okay.
And
If we
just-
take a break, it should be at the end of the Abrahams portion.
All right, let's see if I can switch over.
You know, offhand, what that in-district tuition rate would be, ballpark figure roughly?
Bill, if you're out there, I need you
You're at
again.
$5,000.
I'm sorry.
$5,000,
Oh, okay. And currently it's what, 2,000?
2,000.
Okay, so it's about a $3,000 increase.
Right.
Okay.
And it brings in about 1.1 million,
Mhm.
which should
That's
cover
a-
the structural deficit.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's still
I
a
know.
lot less than 26,000.
no, I know, I agree. I agree, it is. And I think that's
IDs.
a number of towns could at least, you know, we could reconcile that and go into the town system as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Nice job.
Thank you.
830.
830,
2123.
Rick.
2123.
641.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot, yeah.
47. 59. 06.
That's it?
Should, yep.
That was easy.
Give me 1 second.
It's amazing what you guys put together. It really is.
We're not done.
Not done.
More to come.
It's been almost a year that we've been working on it, so.
We should be good to go, Mark. Excellent. It's kicking you out. Let me. Actually,
You want to take a break now? Well, they figure this
No,
out.
I'm not to finish everything that is in Mark's bailiwick.
Well, this is just so they can figure it out.
Oh, I suppose we could do that, Peter.
I think you've got it.
Okay, we're gonna be on a 5-minute break.
Oh, hold on. I think he thinks he has it. There we go. Terrific.
We're back on the record here.
so what you want to do here is go like
I
that.
thought he was loading. I guess he was away. but-
There you go.
Architects.
There you are.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. You have our
Go ahead, Mark.
regional services report. So this was one of 5 scope areas that we already discussed. The effort was split into 2 phases. Phase 1 was to review the services that the county is currently providing to member communities and to get their satisfaction, to get their assessment on the services that they have received from the county. The second phase conducted a forum with member community representatives to A, review the phase 1 findings, and B, determine the direction of this program going forward. So phase 1 results, what did we ask? What service are you receiving from the county? Which department in the community received that service? What was the goal of the service? What was the result of that service? What was the member town's city satisfaction with that service? What is the likelihood of the city or town to continue that service? And are there additional services that the city and town would like to see from the county? We had 34 responses to the phase one, and you'll see on this screen, a lot deals with engineering and dog tags and veterans. Also RSVP, and we've commented on veterans and RSVP as part of the departmental operations review. But what's impressive was the community response to county services. The 34 responses, 82% responded with a 4 or 5 rating, with 5 being exceptional, and 88% 3, 4, or 5. And in our review of customer satisfactions, that is very, very, very well done. You should be proud of the types of services that are being received. And here are some comments, and we've documented these comments and other comments in the report. But you'll see here many positive comments from different towns on engineering, on RSVP, and other county services. And you'll see very satisfied as well. Services going forward. So as part of the phase one survey, the second question was, how likely are you going to want county services going forward? And 79, almost 80% had a rating of 4 or 5, and over 90% responding with a 3, 4, or 5. Again, very, very complimentary to county services. We also asked in a separate survey, what regional services are you sharing amongst yourselves, among the 28 communities? And you'll see 6 responses here, a lot dealing with veterans and schools and other types of services. We held 2 listening sessions as part of phase 2. An initial one back in July with the town managers of Foxborough, Norwood, and Medway. The 3 communities rated satisfaction county services as a 4 or 5. A larger forum was conducted 2 weeks ago with representatives from different communities that you see there. Combined, a message was very clear. The county needs to strategically think more regionally and serve as a resource to cities and towns to help formulate multi-town collaborative efforts so that member communities are not all going about governing their communities on our own. That was a clear message from both listening sessions from the communities. Our report also outlines what other county government and regional council of governments are providing to their member communities, and you can read that in the report. But based on the phase 1 and phase 2 results, we firmly believe that the county can serve as a resource to its member communities, again, to repeat their term, to help formulate multi-town collaborative efforts so the member communities are not doing these things on their own. Our recommendations: 1, continue to provide regional services. 2, develop a brochure to describe the county services you are currently providing. A number of communities don't know the extent to which you are providing county services. And then market that and develop a marketing strategy to promote your services. Expand county engineering services to respond to community needs. Again, of all the responses, engineering was on the top of the list. Consider developing capabilities to provide backup services for building inspection, health, conservation commission, and other similar functions needed by the towns, where the county can provide services for communities that experience vacancies and vacations, and they can turn to you for that type of service. And we discussed earlier the veteran service arrangement through a personal service contract to develop that type of service delivery for other regional services. This approach would minimize county costs. And with that, I think a very positive regional services feedback from the communities and an opportunity for the county to provide an expanded assistance to your member communities. So I want to thank you for your time today. Took a little while. We tried to concisely go through 146 pages, and in 2 weeks, we have more to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Let me ask a question or two and then brief recess. We're gonna meet again in 2 weeks. We put the final two pieces in there, correct?
Correct.
And then what are we gonna do? John, what do you suggest happens there? Or is it, we're gonna send this out, in other words, we're gonna send this out before we have the final two pieces or not? I'm a little confused.
We are. The content of what was presented will be posted to our website by the end of the day. It's already been scanned and it'll be posted for public view. I would recommend commissioners accept this phase as they did on phase one as a deliverable and incrementally or in part take pieces under consideration for future vote and acceptance. Much of what you've heard over the last two meetings, both on August 11th today, have financial impacts. We're locked into a fiscal year budget cycle right now. In a few months, we'll be engaging for up to 23. It may be appropriate to revisit components of what Mr. Abraham's group has reported and revisit them for possible implementation into the FY23 budget.
I realize this is a workup to hopefully to get started in 23. I mean,
But I think there's a tremendous depth of information that's been delivered. And I would recommend that you take the next several months to listen to constituents and stakeholders and find out what's important to them and bring back whatever elements you deem fit that need votes and action, and we can start acting on them through our agenda.
Yeah, clearly, Mr. Chairman, if I may, it does seem that on some of the recommendations, we cross over into the areas where we share leadership with the trustees of the Aggie School. So it'd probably be prudent to also have dialogue with them at some point,
absolutely.
in terms of
That
some
was-
of those
The
proposed.
school question is my second one, but
That's certainly one there. Yeah, and I agree with what John said. It's a good strategy. Give us time to process it. It's a lot here. It's a nice job, comprehensive. We need to look at it, absorb it, and then, like you said, figure out some steps in terms of some of the more concrete things, in terms of how we can, certainly flagging tuition increase, there's a concrete thing there. The food services, a lot of things with the Aggie School, and we face it. We've talked about the Aggie School having a structural deficit, and we've been wringing our hands saying, how can we overcome that? Well, these are some concrete ideas that are being put forth by the consultant to help us address it. So it's a good start.
Yes, Mr. Director.
To Commissioner Stady's point, would you think it would be beneficial to invite Mr. Abrahams to an upcoming trustees meeting just to do a presentation on the agricultural components of this report?
I think it would. Because you can't always guarantee they're going to see this. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea, again, to have just the component parts that maybe deal with the Aggie School.
So facilities, the Aggie,
Yeah.
Service.
Wait,
it's part of the Aggie.
is this going to go to all department heads also?
This goes into the public record.
Correct.
But,
Everyone has access to it.
Yeah.
well, can we send it to all department heads
Certainly.
specifically? Because I don't want someone to come in here in 3 weeks and say, I didn't see it, I didn't hear it, no one gave it to me. I mean, we own it.
Yeah.
We're going to work with it, defend it, file it, whatever, but,
We will notify every department head and send them to the link of where to find this information.
But I think you're going to be faced with, it's only natural. You're going to get significant questions and some pushback from different people. And I'm not prepared to give answers on those things right
no,
now.
I'd be disappointed if we didn't.
Kinda,
That's right.
you
All
know,
right.
we need to kind of vet through it ourselves.
So if you're gonna
Take a
send it
look
out to the department heads, you have to say that this is a report that was presented to the commissioners,
Right.
and we are considering how this would impact county government.
Yeah,
And just be vague about it, because we don't know ourselves what we're gonna do.
correct. I got no problem if we need a vote to accept the report as delivered, but it doesn't mean, in no disrespect, it doesn't mean I'm going to vote and embrace every single recommendation.
Absolutely. I understand that, but
Or not immediately.
No, just to kind of, it's good stuff. It's great.
I'm good
I was
with that.
taking notes on the side and trying to read it one page ahead of, everybody else, but it's good stuff. It's good.
If you're gonna make if he's gonna make the motion, I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I make a motion that we,
If I could,
Okay,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
sure we haven't had envisioned a vote on
okay.
today's agenda.
We'll just, okay.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
all
I will
right.
not do any
That's
motion.
a very good
Good
point.
point. Okay.
And let's be sure it's on there in 2 weeks when the other two sections come and we'll take the vote.
But I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, that we invite our consultants to come to a trustee meeting and just make a brief presentation as part of the meeting in terms of some of those things there. Yeah, we can fit it in. I don't think it'll take 2 hours.
Well, if it's just one,
Well, the school is
Just the
only one
school,
portion of it.
yeah.
It is a major, well,
the major part of it, but yeah, it
it
shouldn't
was,
take that much time.
Anyways,
I'll speak to the director on this.
okay,
Terrific.
of course.
okay, could I have a motion? We all set for today with the?
Do you want a motion to accept with it?
No.
No, you don't want anything.
2
It's on the
minutes.
You can do that
After
in
the
2
next
weeks
two,
when you receive the.
and we'll
final
put a
draft.
motion right on there.
Because I initially thought it said that. Okay.
The concept is to accept it when it's done. We still have 2 pieces to.
Terrific. Okay. All right. Nice job.
We put in brief recess for 5 minutes, Mr. Chairman.
On a 5-minute recess. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're in 5-minute recess and we still have the rest of the agenda. And thank you, Ben. We'll see you again. Mark?
Thanks, Mark.
Moving on, item number 8 on our agenda, personal matters for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we have old business. There are none, but.
I'm sorry, we're on number 7, old business. Do we have any old business?
None at this time.
Not at this time. Now we'll go to number 8, personnel matters for consideration.
Number 8.
Appears we have 1, 2, 3, 4 at the agricultural
Right,
school.
Mr. Chairman, for sake of expediency, I'm going to move item A, subset 1 and 3 together. They're both, I'm sorry, 2 and 3 together, the appointments, right? So first I'll make motion notice of retirement of Andrea McMahon of Smithville, Rhode Island, as Assistant Custodial Secretary effective 9/3/21.
Second.
All in favor? It is a vote. Next,
All right, next, I have the appointments of Stephanie Chanteller of Mansfield, Mass. as a 183-day instructor effective 10/4/21. And a notice of appointment of Wendy Buchanan of Rentham, Mass. as a 10-month part-time main office clerk effective 9/23/21.
Second.
motion made and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye, it is a vote. Number 4,
And lastly, notice of resignation of Ariel Sirkin of Sharon as a 183-day instructor effective 9/17/21.
Second.
all in favor?
All right,
It is a vote. No more personnel matters for today. Payroll and expense warrants, number 9.
okay. That's right.
Copy on, yes.
So warrant first, the first one is the payroll of the county, 22-12, the amount of $136,520.80. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. It is a vote.
Second, Mr. Chairman, payroll of the school, 22-16, parentheses 6, in the amount of $339,510.53. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it is a vote.
And lastly, expense for the county of 9/4/22, the amount of $46,583.27. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, it is a vote. Number 10, bid openings. We do not have a bid opening today. Number 11, contract awards. We have none today. Number 12, we have a matter, a citation from the Land Court notifying the Norfolk County Commissioners that John Deedy has filed a petition for approval of the new Land Court case plan number 7056C of 2021, docket number 21 BSQ 07056010001, within which depicts a subdivision of private property that abut the 1961 Norfolk County layout of Commercial Street, Weymouth, Mass., which is document number 228387 of the Land Court. I'm going to ask Patrick, our county surveyor and department head, is on with us to briefly explain this. We have these occasionally. This is probably the first one since you've been back with us, Patrick. We all have it in
Good
our
afternoon,
packet.
Commissioners.
Patrick Higgins, please.
So those are your blues, yes.
Can you hear us?
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and good
Can you hear
afternoon, Director Cronin. Yep.
Oh, hold on one second,
Can you
Pat.
hear me?
Is it muted? Maybe muted?
Try, you have the sound bar right there to your left.
Wait 1 second. Let me
Not
run
to
in
not to
there.
the left. The black thing, the remote control.
Oh, right here.
I think that might do it.
Patrick, can you hear us?
What are you
Yes.
trying- Oh,
Okay.
Good.
All right, we're all
Okay.
set now. Good
Okay.
job. Okay.
Can you hear
Patrick, a
me?
brief explanation of this item, if you please.
Sure. Hi, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
great.
All set
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. So basically, the petitioner, Mr. Didi, has been working with the land court for the last couple of years, going through the land court process to create a subdivision of land. They're at the process this past summer where he had to notify all abutters, the county being one of the abutters with the county layout of Commercial Street from 1961. We received a citation from the land court referring that they filed the petition for approval of the new plans 7056C of 2021, and it depicts the taking of Commercial Street, the Norfolk County layout, and they basically want to ask the commissioners to review and in the petition to assent to the way that the county layout is depicted on the land court plans that will be that have been submitted to the court and filed, and before they want the assent before they decree the plans. And they sent the citation. We got involved in July and August. We worked with the petitioner. We worked with the land court. We worked with the petitioners consulting a land surveyor. We had to make some adjustments. We went out in the field, put boots on the ground, found that they needed to make some adjustments. We sent those in the land court. They worked with them, and they have fallen. I think with the evidence that we found in the field, everything's in sync the best that we can for the layout. And at this time, I would make a positive recommendation as documented in my memo, and Attorney Lopez has written up a draft form for the assent that's limited only to the monuments held in front of the subdivision, and it's conditional upon the because the citation was sent prior to our involvement. It refers to outdated plans that are now been superseded. The Attorney Bothwell from the land court, who's the title examiner, and the Ed Packard, land surveyor for the land court and the survey division, have confirmed with us that the revised plans supersede the ones that were in the original citation. So I have that documented as well, and that's what's before you. So I can share screen and show you any of the plans if you have any questions or comments.
Question, is there any reason we can't go forward on this today, Patrick?
No, that's up to you, Commissioner Chairman Shea.
Everything's here, okay.
Yes.
And you're satisfied that everything's in order?
Yes, I reviewed the issues with Attorney Lopez and explained to him, and then he wrote the a draft assent document accordingly, and he's thinks everything is fine as well.
Commissioners, you have any comments on this matter? Again, we don't do a lot of them. Commissioner Collins more familiar than I am, but there's a couple a year, and maybe this is the first one this year, but if there's no issue, I'd suggest we.
Mr. Chairman, so, Patrick, is this something, if I may?
Go ahead, absolutely.
So what happened? Somebody like had a plan and then time went by and then certainly changes came about in the town or regulations came about, or why do we have to have a new plan?
It's due to so that there were older land court plans, the A series and the B series for this, and now he's creating a new roadway with a cul-de-sac. I can show you if you want me to share screen. I can show you the plan that blown up so you can see it, or is that easier?
I don't need to see it.
I think I saw it. You
Okay.
gave the handout on it. I saw it.
Sure.
It's all-
So
I saw it. I did see it. So he
Yeah,
created a new roadway, and because of that, there's a taking, and we're involved in terms of the ascent, right?
We're in a
Well,
budget.
there's no taking. It's just they're changing the lot lines and creating new lots. So because of that, they're gonna decree new lots from the land court and make new certificates of title. And with that, with the S petition to open up the old case and create the new lots, they have to notify all the abutters of the new survey. And the survey is based off of the existing monuments that have been found today. And sometimes they update the boundaries and when they initially submitted the plans that we saw, they were holding monuments out in the field that once we went out in the field, we kind of redirect them to hold monuments that are in a more in sync with the rest of the layout. And they made adjustments with that. And that was the only, there was no new taking. It was just, we're making sure they're in line with the, that their subdivision is basically directly abuts the county layout correctly.
Okay. All right. I'd move, Mr. Chairman, if you will, that we approve for docket number 21 SBQ 07056-01-001 for a limited assent. A limited assent, the petition of John Deedy for the plan number 7056-C and for all the information contained therein as presented to us as commissioners on this date, with the stipulation that the limited assent is subject to and conditioned upon and made reliance upon the written representation of Edward Packett, Deputy Engineer of the Land Court, and that the aforementioned revised plan for plan number 7056-C with their additions and changes will in fact supersede the plan referred to in the citation that was served on the county commissioners in this matter and become the final plan for plan number 7056-C. That do it? Okay, so moved.
Do we have a second?
Is that okay?
Question.
Question, discussion, Commissioner Collins.
And this comes back to what we just did with the Abraham's group. Doesn't say for a vote on the agenda.
Mhm.
So I would just say that we hold off the vote until next week because it doesn't say it on the agenda for a motion.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
thought by putting it on the agenda, we,
Did I miss that?
No, it's clear. Patrick, is this time sensitive? Can it wait a week?
I believe so. I think it's still on. We actually got the response time ended on the 13th, but Attorney Bothwell gave us an extension because we were working towards submitting the documentation and request for assent to the commissioner. So I'll let them know where we're at, and that I'm sure they'd
we
be
carry
happy.
this little business, but put on there that we intend to take a vote.
Yeah, and you can pass along that it appears to be a favorable vote. We just have to wait until next week to do it.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. I appreciate it.
Okay, that concludes the matter of this land court matter in Weymouth, Mass. Thank you. Thanks, Patrick. Okay, next. I'm sorry, I'm budgets is my agenda's out of kilter. Number 13.
Wouldn't it be implied, though, that we're going to be taking a vote?
It
when we
would,
have a
but
plan
we
like
have
that? I
begun
mean-
publishing agendas where a vote may be taken under
Right.
certain policy discussions. So to be consistent.
You know,
I think we
Alright.
should
I would
follow
put that on here, every single item from
Yeah.
now on.
I know,
Even if you just put possible vote. You could even categorically just say a possible vote may take place on,
On any of the 1 through 18 agenda items.
yes, this way, we're not, you know, having to postpone stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, item number 13, request for the civic rate at President's Golf Course for the Rick Miller Memorial Event. This is the family of Richard A. Miller of Quincy, who have been having a golf tournament in Rick's memory dating back to, oh boy,
Sure.
1987.
Do you
I
want-
do remember this, and this has been on our agenda in
Being a son of Quincy, do you want to step down as chair and make the motion?
a number of years.
Hmm.
I'll be happy to. I do know the Miller, I know all these families. And again, time goes by, I didn't realize it was 87, but without question, I'd like to make a motion to extend the civic race to the Rick A. Miller Golf Tournament, which will be held at President's this fall.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. That concludes that. Next. Report on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Director Cronin.
Commissioners, with respect to time, I'll be extremely brief. This past week, I approved the grant application and agreement that Ms. Levin had prepared
Of Norfolk County Engineers.
and will be using on behalf of the communities that apply for ARPA through our portal. The same application agreement was approved and provided to the other participating counties, so that box is checked. Incidentally, Plymouth County is looking to go live next week. We will be enabled probably the first week in October, time to be determined. And I'll be preparing a blast email through all Norfolk County community points of contact for ARPA within the next 1 to 2 weeks on our readiness for the portal activation.
Great.
That is all, sir.
What's the word on Foxwell?
That's my question too. Go ahead. Any?
I believe there's favorable interest. I was under the impression a vote was taken, but then I heard something on the call earlier this week that indicated that might not have happened. So I don't want to conclude or confirm that something has, but it's very favorable.
Okay.
Okay, that concludes 14. Number 15, report on COVID-19
Two
activity.
very brief items, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yesterday, I had my monthly department head meeting. Including in the agenda was the COVID-19 response, and I asked each and every department head present if they had any concerns about the existing protocols with respect to COVID management. Marguerite Lee just wanted to confirm that anyone who's not vaccinated wears masks, and I confirm that is the policy. We don't track who's vaccinated, but we do confirm that if you are not vaxxed to wear a mask. Other than that, nothing was recommended by the departments yesterday. I do want to read to you something. I've established a contact with my peers in Dukes County, Bristol, Plymouth, as well, and Barnstable. And we started a dialogue this week about trial courts, which I'll get to in a minute. But one item that did come up for your information on this item, the Dukes County Commissioners voted yesterday, which would have been Monday, September 20th, to mandate vaccinations for all staff. That particular county has taken that affirmative action for your information. But I have no new information to share relative to COVID matters within county facilities at this time.
I think I've read a
Continue to
couple of
monitor.
towns in Norfolk County are mandating that now too, for staff people.
The vaccinations?
Yeah, for staff.
Again, yeah, that's the state echo, and I can understand that. There's some litigation, as you may have heard also in today's news regarding that mandate, so it's a squishy issue. But I have nothing else to report at this time, nor any recommendations. Just continue to monitor.
Okay, next is number 16, report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the trial courts facility manager, our second monthly meeting regarding the conditions at Quincy District Court. I reported on all the various improvements, updates, quotes, and changes made. The trial courts were very, very pleased and happy that we were able to produce information. Judge Coven from the presiding justice attended the meeting. A lot has changed in the last month, and the folks that were in the meeting acknowledged that a month ago we were all planning for a 5 to 10 year lifespan of the Quincy District Court. Following a meeting that we had with DCAM 2 weeks ago, it certainly seems as though the shift of the future of Quincy District Court became more present, and we agreed yesterday that 5 to 10 year view is probably not reasonable. I suggested 1 to 2 years. Judge Coven said, if you're saying 1 to 2, I'll say 2 to 4. Give it based on the speed of how DCAM is likely to move on the lease associated with that facility. Nevertheless, I think they acknowledge that the recommendation for a new roof costing $400,000 is probably not a good investment. They acknowledge that a recommendation to replace the air handlers and the compressors, which are beyond useful life, is probably not a good investment. What we all did agree on was that the county will maintain the facility to the best of its ability, and obviously keep the stakeholders within the trial courts informed of what we're doing. They were very pleased with it. I want to give a shout out to our facility maintenance staff who have stepped up over the last month. Our carpenter, painter, supervisors, and other maintenance staff have done a great job bringing Quincy up to, a level or two on its overall condition, and it was noticed by the trial courts.
That's good news.
Incidentally, the same gentleman who I met with made a drop-in visit to Rentham District Court, and he was very, very impressed. He really liked it. Actually, said it was beautiful. You folks may recall about a year ago, The county received the DOJ grant for $58,000. It's funding 3 subrecipients in the county. We have secured the path to receive the funds, but I need to get financial and progress reports from each of them. Assistant Director Buckley, I asked him to contact these recipients and ask for their report by September 29th. As soon as I get that, I'll file the information with the feds and hopefully get reimbursed.
Okay, and those three grants are Walpole Fire.
I don't know off the top of my head. I believe one is Dove out of Quincy, who we had a conference call with, Walpole Fire, and there's a third one.
Isn't it Randolph Police?
I can't remember.
Different one.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Assistant Director Buckley, what's the third one?
Randolph
For
Police?
you is Manor Community Health Center in Quincy.
Oh, Manor Community Health
Oh, okay.
Center, okay.
This is the first round of grants we did, not the burn grants. They're distinct.
Okay,
Just to echo, I had a department head meeting yesterday, filled up the department heads with feedback on current events. I met with the school superintendent and the business manager on Monday to discuss capital matters. I wanted to just emphasize again through this meeting and to any department heads listening, the Infinite Vision software training is ongoing. It is a priority of this commission to invest in this product. Earlier, we heard from Mr. Abrahams about the importance of using this tool to its maximum capabilities. We need participation of our department heads, especially at this time, because in a few short months, they'll be using the tool to put their budgets in. And now is the time to learn how to do it. So in a few months, when people start calling me saying, I don't know how to do something, we'll be reminding them you should have been in that training. So we're reaching out to them and making sure that they do attend. The advisory board meeting has been scheduled for September 29th at 6:30 p.m. It is a virtual meeting due to the circumstances involving the schools.
What day is it again? I'm sorry.
The 29th.
29, thank you.
This week from tomorrow.
next Wednesday night,
Okay,
Uh,
great.
next
So is
Thursday.
it going to be,
Thursday night.
is it going to be at the Aggie or entirely virtual?
Entirely virtual.
Okay, so we're not going to be there either. We'll be at our houses and Joe will be probably here, right?
If he so wishes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna be where the director is, which is here,
I'm
right?
gonna be where you are. So
Yeah.
yeah, that'll work out.
All right.
Good news. We received a waiver from the state to on the Stoughton District Court project. You folks may know we've been waiting for some movement on the project contract, and the state has allowed us to seek 3 bids rather than rebidding the whole project. Now we need to circle back with the original contractor, get 2 other contractors to give us a cost for curing that building, and then we'll proceed without delay. Finally, hires. We had a particular individual who had applied to be the assistant superintendent of the golf course. Carl Miner and I were exchanging emails about that individual, his certifications and so forth. Unfortunately, Carl seems to think that the individual has now dropped off. He's no longer been in contact with Carl, responding to his inquiry about his certification for turf management. He now considers the matter to be open again. The position is posted. Carl wants to hire somebody. He said now's the time when those types of folks are looking for jobs for next year. We recognize that, so we're actively recruiting for somebody.
And you must be licensed, right?
They can write on Carl's license. It's not optimal, but they must achieve their license within a short period.
Okay, I didn't know that, but okay. I
Engineering.
mean, now's the time, if,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
That's when they're out there looking for jobs for next year. Engineering currently has a job posted. I talked to Patrick last week, and he had one candidate that he was monitoring. I don't know if the candidate has applied, but we're trying to get that person or the next person on board without delay. Finally, as you probably know, we've had 3 facility maintenance vacancies. We received a 4th resignation last week. We had previously posted for this position, had collected a fair amount of resumes. Michelle has reached out to all the qualified candidates to schedule interviews for tomorrow. Unfortunately, all of them have, for a variety of reasons, withdrawn. We currently do not have any active candidates from that list that qualify for the position, and I'll be meeting with her probably tomorrow to discuss next steps. That is all I have, Mr. Chairman.
any questions of the director?
Well, one, if I could, a nice job, John. In light of the Abrahams report, it might be premature, but do we want to look at those vacancies and maybe kind of take a step back?
That consistent with your thinking is the idea that these positions are all tabbed to be temporary.
Okay,
Recall when we looked
Yeah.
at technology and facility
Sure.
maintenance, it was a deliberate attempt by the commissioners to recognize there may be some forthcoming changes.
okay,
And frankly, Commissioner, it may be one of the reasons why these candidates are withdrawing at this point, because they see the role as non-permanent.
yeah, it's
And
just tough.
it could be impacting our
It can't be
recruitment.
tough. Well, I want to commend the maintenance department, though. I think they are doing a very good job. And as you said, the Rentham Court is in great shape. You got kudos from Quincy. They're doing the best they can under some tough circumstances. So we want to make sure they know we appreciate what they're doing. That's
Okay.
all I have.
If, on that subject, while we're open
Yes.
the box, this temporary, and I do recall why we did it, and I stand by it. It doesn't mean, I mean, everyone that starts at a new job in some way, shape, or form is probationary or temporary, because it's a waiting period for this, or if it doesn't work out. We were talking about budget constraints and the study and everything, but as people leave, and we had a permanent custodian leave, someone moves up on the list, so to speak, and it creates another one. So I think we have to be very skillful based on what we're seeing here today, but we haven't taken a vote on that either or implemented it. And it's got to be weaved into the 2023 budget. At least I anticipate that's where we're going to get to the real part of it. So maybe we need to bring people in and explain it. And I'm not begging people, because let's cast a wider net here and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm open for the creative approach.
That's all.
And
I'm not-
also, I think we need to do some more recruiting.
Yeah,
And talk to some recruitment bureaus, folks that may be disenfranchised who are looking for positions, people like that who need work that a county opportunity can present for them. So I think there's a number of different ways we can attack this.
Well, the way you reconcile is if those positions, we're in fiscal
22.
22, right? All right, so,
Yeah.
right, fiscal 22. So we're not looking at fiscal 23. In fiscal 22,
Oh,
the
that's-
maintenance had positions that were already approved. They're already budgeted. And now people are retiring, resigning, whatever. I'm not sure why we can't just put those people in there. And to fill the balance of the year under those circumstances, they would be hired, but fill the position as budgeted. We're not creating a new position.
Correct. The positions that you refer to that were funded are known as permanent. So on the blue paper, if you would assign them today, it says temporary permanent. So the permanent designation reflects the fact that they were funded, they were part of the planned project. But I think we were being sensitive to the notion that there may be some impact of reorganization that would come upon newer hires, first in, first out.
That's exactly what I'm talking in first and last. I mean, we would be fair to we have to tell people. Now, if that's the wrong term, more
But that
explanation.
happens. So,
Creative, yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
I don't know how you get around that. Like you said, maybe broaden out the search or something. But I mean, that's,
Yeah, I'll report back on strategies to try and recruit individuals too. So it's a challenge.
Number 19 on the agenda is any other items not anticipated. I have none. Commissioners, do you have anything else?
Also,
how are we making out with the boilers for the registry buildings and the buildings over there?
John mentioned yesterday during the department head meeting that he's been in contact with IBS, which is the middleman to Burnham. And they have not given him a commitment date on the shipment of the device yet, not uncommon.
Yeah.
But they're starting to show some skepticism that it will be in by the end of November, early December. We knew early that was when it was trending
Right.
to be delivered. As I had mentioned 2 months ago, John is now working towards a potential temporary heating solution. He's calling vendors to see if we can line up something in the event that the burners arrive later or into the heating season, where we might need that offsite support. So we're planning for a contingency,
Okay.
but right now we're still thinking late November, early December. It's right on that bubble. One of the shipment dates that John heard was January, and I said, well, that's not going to work. So
Yeah.
that will trigger, obviously, anything beyond mid-December is now, I would say, we're into the temporary heating solution.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we don't want that. Okay,
No, but it's supply stream issue too. so-
yeah, yes, I understand.
Thank you.
All right.
A motion to adjourn.
Hello? Anybody there?
Hello, can I help you?
Yeah, I got a question on item number 12. I was trying to figure out why there wasn't a vote on that.
Oh, that's the guy.
Is this Mr. Didi?
It is, yes.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
We
Nice to
didn't,
see
we
you
didn't
guys.
take a vote. We approved it in committee.
Yeah.
Because there was no motion on the agenda to the vote would be taken, and under the open meeting law, we have to put the verbiage that a vote will be taken. Mr. Didi, I can assure you the vote will be taken next week. And it's,
All right. All
Yeah,
right, it's just, I know it's not you guys. I've just been,
no,
the
that's
land
all right.
court
I'm glad you,
the land
Okay.
court is, everything that's gone through the land court has taken months and months and years. And it's getting a little frustrating. This guy, Patrick, has been great to work with.
good.
I do appreciate that. I just was a little frustrated when you said you couldn't take a vote because it did say for approval in the agenda, you know?
It doesn't say that.
I'm not sure.
On the agenda I'm looking at online, it does. It says for approval.
Oh,
Oh, God. Let's not-
does it say that?
He has filed a petition for approval from the new land court.
Right.
We,
Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's not for you guys, though.
Yeah,
when-
no,
when-
John, it'll be done by
yeah.
2:00 next Tuesday.
It's just to make sure we don't violate.
Next Wednesday.
I got you. All right. I
Take care.
understand.
We will.
I just had to ask the question. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem at all. We'll take care of you. We will.
Anything else?
I move we approve
With
at
the lane, okay.
3:30, no, 3:28.
Do we have a second motion for
Second.
adjournment? All in favor? Aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Just wondering who the poor guy was. I couldn't see him.
Thank